The Westminster Waltz is the first compulsory dance to be performed here in Prague. It made its debut in 1938 when it was first performed in the Westminster Ice Rink in London. It is a stately waltz, requiring a sense of carriage and elegance and majesty when it is performed. The Westminster should be skated with strong, deeply curved edges and a soft flowing knee action. It is important to maintain an upright stance without breaking at the waist in order to emphasize the stately character of the dance. As in all ice dancing, the free legs should match in unison. The upper body should have sufficient lean to provide a lilting feeling typical of a waltz. The skaters should change positions without loss of flow. Using this split screen comparison, look at the difference between the two couples in their poise, softness in their knees, strength of edges, and overall flow to their skating. The couple on the right has more elegance to their movement and a greater lilt and lean typical of waltz expression. As always with ice dancing, the flow and softness of the dance will depend on how absorbing the knees are. This, coupled with an elegant carriage and strongly curved edges, will help to portray the majesty that this dance demands.
Thank you, Jean. The couple on the right in your piece was Shae-Lynn Bourne along with Victor Kraatz. And they certainly had the right stuff at the Canadian Championships in Hamilton last month, the first Canadian dance team in 30 years to win a senior title after being the junior champions the year before. Here they are in their world debut.
Well, it's in the free dance that we're really going to see what Victor and Shae-Lynn are really all about. But from what they said earlier this week, if they had to choose two compulsory dances to do, these are their favorites. And simply because where they excel is in their deep edges and their knee bends. Very easy with lots of flow, but at the same time show no signs of struggle. And with these two out here today, I'd have to say they look extremely comfortable.
Well, they almost appear to just float across the ice effortlessly. They don't look like they're having to work to garner their speed, and they carry it through the entire dance very nicely.
That Shae-Lynn is only 17 years of old. She really has a sense of maturity well beyond her years.
Well, there's no denying that once you've got that first skate done, you finally feel like there's something out of your system, and that for this team, they'll probably now be able to really relax into the second dance because that one went very well for them.
Look at these deep knee bends here, the edges coming in and out, and the unison of the free legs.
Interesting to see how comfortable they look because there was a lot of nervous energy this week in their practices, and that's understandable. They said they went to the Nationals just to learn and ended up with a ticket to Prague.
Thank you.
Well, he's certainly been one of the most uptight competitors here this week.
Well, at least I spelled my name right up there.
She's pleased that they do know who they are as they've got their names properly spelt on the board.
Well, they're making a name for themselves, no doubt about that. You could tell a little bit of the nervous energy there. They really didn't take the full bow after their skate, and the judges have a little bit of a range here. 3.5 from the Ukrainian judge, 3.7 from the Russian judge, but a 4.8 seated second by the German judge. So an interesting spread for Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz with coach Eric Gillies in their first compulsory dance at the World Championships.
Oksana, Grishuk, Evgeni, Platov, Rusko, Russia.
Well, here are the main challengers for Usova, Zhulin, Oksana, Grishuk, and Evgeni Platov, who have made the steady climb in 4 years of ice dancing competition at the international level. They were 5th in 1990, 4th in 91, bronze medalists last year in Oakland.
Characteristics of this dance is to have very good speed and to continue the flow throughout the dance. And this is certainly where this team excels. Is because of the many changes of position, and it's important for the dancers to always look as though they're under control and never struggling. This team really makes it look easy.
Well, I felt their first repetition of this dance was a little stilted, and after they got that one under their belt, they seemed to settle down into it, and it really came on with the flow and smoothness that this dance requires.
Oksana Grishuk and Evgeni Platov.
Look at the absolutely perfect unison on the free legs here.
Silver medalists at the European Championships were telling us that they do much of their training in a ballroom. And the best set of marks we've seen so far, 5-5 up to 5-7, and first place marks as we expected across the board. Natalia Linachuk, Gennady Karponosov, their coach, and Grishuk and Platov are the leaders for the moment.
Maya, Usova, Alexander, Zhulin, Rusko, Russia.
Well, here are the favorites, Usova and Zhulin from Russia, but now skating out of Lake Placid. Silver medalists in 89 and 92, and they're coming off their first European gold medal championship. And just about everybody in the competition describes them as the standard of excellence in the compulsory dances.
Well, when you watch this dance, I think you will see why everybody has unanimous. When you watch this dance, I think you will see why almost everybody has chosen this team to win the gold medal.
As you watch this team skate, try to envision watching them just from the waist up. There's very little upper body movement that takes place during their performance of this dance, and that's paramount to being successful and getting good marks here in the Westminster Waltz.
Not only that, but in this section, you can hardly see any space between them, and that's very important. This team to me is the epitome of what ice dancing is all about. I watch them, I can picture them floating across a ballroom dance floor. They just, I don't like cliches, but they melt the ice. Look at the match on the free legs here.
Marks for couple number 19.
Never takes long for the marks in compulsory dances to come up for Maja Usova and Alexander Zhulin, and they are first place ordinals across the board. A 5-7, the low mark from Hungary. The rest are 5-8s, and as expected, they are the leaders after the first compulsory dance. As expected, Usova Zhulin are the leaders after the Westminster Waltz. Grishuk Platov second. Rahkamo Kokko of Finland are in third place. Then the third Russian couple, Krylova Fedorov, are fourth. Caligari Camerlengo of Italy fifth, and Canadian Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz in 15th place. We'll be back with the second compulsory dance, the Argentine Tango, when CBC's coverage of the 93 World Figure Skating Championships return to Prague.
Argentine Tango has its origins in the waterfront slums along the riverbanks in Argentina. Originally a dance of the lower classes, its popularity grew until it became the rage of society in North America and Europe. The tango is still the classic of contemporary ballroom, and its exotic nature lends itself well to the portrayal on the ice. The Argentine should again be skated on strong edges with considerable élan. As in all tangos, there should be a degree of sophistication to the performance. This will best be portrayed through poise, posture, and flow achieved without obvious pushing. In the next section of the dance, the woman performs a one-turn twizzle with a snap, typical of tango expression. The steps following are edges and cross rolls, to be skated with good depth and soft knees. As we return to the start of the dance. As we watch these two couples, notice on the right the superior edges, poise, flow, and control. By contrast, the couple on the left appears stiff and less able to portray a tango expression. Coming up to the woman's twizzle, notice the difference in the crispness of the snap. On the right, there is greater lean and ease of movement, with stronger edges on the cross rolls. Throughout this dance, you should be able to feel the man-woman relationship of the tango. It is a spirited dance, but it does portray the pursuit of one for the other. The best couples will have a sensitivity towards this and will include it in their interpretation.
Well, Gene, I can't think of a better couple to illustrate the points you just made about the Argentine Tango than Maja Usova and Alexander Zhulin, the European gold medalists and the winners of the first compulsory dance.
Well, later in the week, we're going to see Maya and Sasha perform a free dance to the blues, which gives them an opportunity to really work on that male-female interaction that Gina talked about. And this is a dance which, again, gives them that opportunity, and it's something at which they excel.
Bodies, they hardly ever move. From the waist down is where they are dancing, and the upper bodies are practically always motionless.
28-year-old Maya Usova and her husband, 29-year-old Alexander Zhulin, skating for Russia, now out of Lake Placid, New York.
Here's a look at the twizzle Gene was talking about. Nice and crisp, deep knee bend there. And here's the back cross rolls. Look at the control and the deep back edges.
Keep in mind that the top 7 after the compulsory dances in Oakland stayed in the same order throughout the competition. And these are first place marks again, 5.8 and a 5.9 from the Ukrainian judge. So Usova Zhulin off to a terrific start here. They win the first compulsory dance, and they are the leaders in the second compulsory dance. Here are the Finnish champions, Susanna Rahkamo and Petri Kokko, who in January won their first European medal, a bronze in Helsinki at the championships there. And now the question, can they win their first world medal? They were 3rd after the first compulsory dance.
There's been a team out here that's given a soft, subtle touch to a tango. It was this team. A lot of other teams are out here trying to give you a hard sell, a harder edge to the tango, but such was not the case for this couple. And that bronze medal that they won at the Europeans certainly shows in their confidence level.
Well, the Argentine should be portrayed a little bit harder edge than other tangos. I felt they held back a little bit in their expression, but I thought the dance was very smooth. And as you can see on the cross rolls here, they performed them very well. The best ones make that part look very easy, as they did.
Number of Finnish fans here, and they have fans all across the world, very popular skaters. Susanna Rahkamo, 28 years of age, and Petri is 27, and that's Coach Martin Skutnicki congratulating them. There are the marks, pretty consistent. 5.5s from 7 of the 9 judges, 5.4 from Poland, 5.3 from Ukraine, but once again, as was the case in the first compulsory dance, they have third place ordinals right across the board behind Usova Zhulin and Grishuk Platov. So a good start to the competition for Rahkamo Kokko. A lot of support here for Victor Kraatz and Shae-Lynn Bourne, who seemed a little relieved that the first compulsory dance went as well as it did, and eager to improve on their 15th place showing here in the Argentine Tango.
I felt their first dance, the Westminster Waltz, was skated well. It wasn't really reflected in their placing of 15th place, but to their own admission, this is their best dance.
I sit here optimistically hoping that they can make a move up from that 15th place, but the way the judges panel has been judging here today so far, it doesn't appear to be any indication that that's going to change.
Well, this team is really here to make an impression. I think so far, already this week, they have made a huge impression, and that's been in the practice ring. There's been a lot of talk about this team. smooth dance. Look at how easy they go into these cross rolls. Extremely confident.
And for that, they'll take a bow. They were, I think, so excited and so nervous after their first compulsory dance, they headed straight over to Coach Eric Gillies, but not this time.
Look at the lines here and the deep knee bend on Victor right there. This team has certainly got a lot of potential. I think we'll see a lot of them in the future.
Well, Shae-Lynn, just 17 years of age. She's from Chatham. Victor, 21. Originally from West Berlin. You heard Derek Gillies say that was great. He now resides in Qualicum Beach, BC. And of the 31 couples entered here, there are very few younger than this Canadian group.
Thanks, Shae.
That's good.
Good one. Well, they're certainly satisfied. The marks will not reflect that, though. 3.9 from the Ukrainian judge, and most of the fans here are from Canada right now, and there have been a few boos. Up to a 4.7 from the German judge, who has them seated 12th. They're anywhere from 12th to 17th, so they're going to be in and around 15th spot again for this second compulsory dance. So the standings after the Argentine Tango: Usova, Zhulin first, Grishuk, Platov second. Now Krylova and Fedorov move up to third place in the second compulsory dance, and they're now tied for third overall with Susanna, Rahkamo, and Petri, Kokko fourth in the Argentine Tango. The Italians fifth, and the Canadian Shae-Lynn Bourne and Victor Kraatz 15th in both compulsory dances.